I myself was into drugs, deep into drugs back in the 80s, and I know how hard it is to get out of it, and then to become swayed.
In the 1980s I was really into drugs, and I know how hard it is to get clean. While Arnel Pineda has dealt with stress before, this time felt different. He did something on social media that most singers wouldn't do after a bad night on one of the world's biggest stages. He let it out. He talked about his worries and how tired he was. Then he asked a question that caught everyone off guard. Was it time to leave Journey? It wasn't a trick. It was honest, raw and true. Both what he said next and how fans responded were turning points that would change everything. How pain made a star. From September 5, 1967 to September 5, 1967, Arnel Pineda was born at St. Luke's Hospital Jude Tadeusz Diagnostic Clinic in Tondo, Manila. He is the oldest of 4 children, so it comes easily for him to be the big brother who sets the rules. Growing up wasn't easy, but it was a little easier when his mother Josefina was around. He loved her and called her Ima, which is the Kapampangan word for mom. There was no one in their family who wasn't strong-willed, brave or honest. Anema was determined to give her kids a strong base, even though times were tough. She put Arnel in a Catholic school because she thought that in the Philippines a school based on the church was still the best choice. Arnel did a great job. He did well in school and went to the same grade school as his brothers. The boys didn't mind when their teachers compared them. They were proud of their family. Arnel could be found everywhere outside of school. He was in the school's glee club and played with the Rondalla troupe. Whenever he could, he also appeared at school events. On one of those shows he sang a song by Karen Carpenter that made people wonder why he picked a song by a woman. Of course it made sense to Arnel. His mom loved the Carpenters so much that she always sang their songs around the house. He felt that music deep inside him. Even back then you could tell he had a lot of gifts. Not only was he singing, he owned every note. Before he even finished grade school, Arnel was widely known across the country for the first time. He wasn't playing on the quiz show, he was just there to make people laugh. He sang Celeste Legaspi's Gano Kita Kumahal for his school, which was his first time appearing on national TV. It was a small but important moment, and it was only the start. Life hit hard just when things looked like they were going well. His mother died in the last few years of junior high after a long battle with rheumatic heart disease. Everything changed after that loss. The hospital and cremation costs took away everything they had left. It was too much for the family to handle. They were no longer able to pay for school. They lost their house. The kids were split up and sent to live with different family members. Arnel did what he could to help. He always made time to visit them, but they didn't see each other much for years. Arnel slept in public places or with friends when they had extra space when he was a teenager. For as long as he could, he didn't want to leave school, but he did. Getting by came first. Only to get enough money to eat, he took any job he could find. In an interview with ABS-CBN he said that those were dark times. Because he felt lost, he turned to drugs and alcohol. He even said he wished he was dead at one point. But something inside him wouldn't give up, even with all that pain. He didn't give up. He wasn't sure when it would happen, but he felt like something bigger was waiting for him. Singing through the hard times. As the lead singer of a Filipino band called IHOs, Arnel Pineda came to fame in 1982 when he was only 15 years old. He moved right away and took his brother with him. It was a big deal for someone so young, but it was hard for them to live there. Their room was basically a warehouse that had been turned into a hotel. There were bugs, rats, and mosquitoes living there with them. Still, it was better for Arnel. He felt good just having a roof over his head and a chance to sing after everything he had been through. He began to act in Manila at places like Shakey's Pizza on Taft Street, where he built his confidence on small stages. In 1986, some of the guys from IHOs got back together and made a new band called AMA. In the same year they won Rock Wars, a national band competition. It looked like their music dream was finally coming true. Around this time Arnel, who was only 20, also had a child. He got married later and had another child after that. These two relationships did not last though. At one point he even tried to go alone, but it wasn't his time yet. Amal took another step forward in 1988. They won the Yamaha World Band Explosion in the Philippines and will now play in the finals in Hong Kong. Things were going well until a small rule issue threw everything off. They won in the Philippines by singing Queen's Bohemian Rhapsody, but in the finals they had to sing the same original song they had used in the Philippines. They didn't win because Bohemian Rhapsody wasn't unique. The band kept going though. In 1989 they opened for Robert Palmer and played clubs all over the country, in Makati, Quezon City and Olongapo. One of their favorite places was California Jam in Olongapo, a club that U.S. military members stationed nearby liked. By 1990, Arnel and some other members of AAMO had formed a new band called Intensity 5. They tried again to be a part of the Yamaha World Band boom. This time Arnel won for Best Singer and the band came in second place. Things began to change that same year. 5 of the original members broke away from their boss, Ulysses Ablanc, and joined Ariel to make a new band called New Age. It happened just before AAMO's only record, Ang Tuni Amo, came out. The song Running Away was a radio hit. The rest of AAMO's members went on to form a new group called Boss Band. Arnold and New Age, on the other hand, started playing regularly at a Makati club called Fire and Rain. The 1991 came along and marked a big turning point. At one of their shows in Makati, a talent agent saw Arnel and his band. There was an offer for them to move to Hong Kong and perform at Grammy's, a famous restaurant for nightlife. They got ready and left. When they were in Hong Kong they worked hard. For several years they performed 6 nights a week from Tuesday to Sunday. But in 1994, after a hard split, Arnel had to deal with a new problem. His health got worse, and his voice almost went away. To rest and get better he went back to the Philippines. He didn't sing much for 6 months. He slowly got his voice back, and with it his will to fight. When he got back to Hong Kong he went right back to acting. Around 1998, a new chance came up. The owner of Igor's, a restaurant and bar with a scary theme, asked his band New Age to play there often. As part of the vibe they changed their name and wore skeleton outfits for the gig. They became the Rolling Bones. These are the bands that made Arnel's rise. Things got really bad for Arnel Pineda in 1999. Warner Brothers Records became interested in him. He lived abroad at the time, but on his days off he would fly back to the Philippines just to make his first album as Olang. El Pineda was the name of the self-titled project, which had 10 original songs. Most of the songs were slow, emotional ballads that made you feel things. There were also a few upbeat songs in the mix. One even had a Latin feel to it. One song, Iche Karen, which means You Will Cry Too, became a huge hit at singing bars all over Asia. Sayang, which means too bad, was another song that was always playing on the radio. Some of the songs on the record were written and put together by Arnel, which made it even more personal. He didn't stop acting even though all of that was going on. He kept rocking the stage with his longtime band New Age, which kept his love of live music alive. In February 2001 he added another step to his journey when he worked with the well-known Filipino band South Border. On their record The Way We Do, he sang on a song called Looking Glass. He put together a new group with a different sound that same year. They finally came up with the name 9mm, and they quickly became a local favorite. They played regular sets at big places like Makati's Hard Rock Cafe. The next year, the band went global by booking a 3-month job at The Edge in Lan Kwai Fong, which is one of Hong Kong's most popular nightlife areas. By February 2004 things had changed again. 3 of Arnel's old bandmates from New Age got back together with him. This time they added a female lead singer to share the stage. The group changed its name to Most Wanted and got right to work. At the Cavern Club in Hong Kong they did long sets for 3 to 4 hours every night. 6 days a week. Even on Sundays, which was their only day off, they still performed at events for the Filipino community. That grind didn't end. When Arnel's whole life changed, Arnel Pineda was at another fork in the road in February 2006. Bert De Leon, a well-known Filipino talent manager and TV director, gave him a boost after years of hard work in the music business. What they said was enough to help them. Arnel had Monet Kahipe, a musician and friend of a long time, help him move back to the Philippines. They got together and made a new band called The Zoo. On bass, Emil Bondoc, on keys, and McCoy Alcantara on drums were brought in. The group signed with De Leon's Sundance Entertainment Corp. By the end of that year, the Zoo was playing in clubs all over Manila and Olongapo. Making a name for themselves meant that they worked non-stop 3 to 5 hour sets every night. By the next year, Arnel and the Zoo were known for playing versions of old rock bands, especially Journey. Noel Gomez, who is one of their biggest fans, started putting videos of their shows on YouTube. No one thought that Neil Schon, Journey's first guitarist, would be watching from halfway around the world. Journey was having a bad time. After Steve Augury quit as lead singer in February 2006, the band had to quickly find a new lead singer. Neil tried to get in touch with Gomez about meeting Arnel, but the musician ignored him. He thought it was one of those fake job offers that go around the music business, but this one was real. Neil Schon was more than just a fan. He was giving Arnel a chance to try out for one of the most famous rock bands ever. Arnel was on the first trip to San Francisco once it hit him. It wasn't easy to get that interview. This is how hard it is to get a US visa from the Philippines. But fate took over. The person at the embassy who gave Arnel his visa had seen him act before and remembered him. Things began to line up like the plot of a movie. Arnel Pineda was chosen to be the new lead singer of Journey after a week of tough tryouts. Truth hit him hard on the night of his first show with the band, even though it was his dream job. And it was February 2008 in Chile. Arnel was trying to talk himself out of going on stage. He was scared and ready to quit before he even went on stage, but the band wouldn't let him. They pushed him ahead. The crowd went crazy when he finally got on stage. Reviewers were blown away by how much he sounded like Steve Perry, Journey's famous first lead singer. Everything changed after that. On one night he played in small clubs, and the next he was in front of 30,000 people in a stadium. Arnel didn't just make it through, he did great. He got used to being on stage quickly, but the strange feeling never went away. He thought about it for years and said it still felt like a dream. His life kept changing in ways he never thought possible because he was a part of Journey. Journey had been together for 13 years with Arnel as lead singer, and the band's influence had only gotten stronger. Don't Stop Believing, their most famous song, had been given new life. When it came out in 1981, the song didn't make a lot of noise, but over time it became important. Back then, Rolling Stones didn't even talk about it in their review of the Escape record. Things have changed though. A cover of Don't Stop Believing became very famous in February 2010 because of the hit TV show Glee. Those songs made it all the way to number 4 on the US charts. Suddenly a new generation was singing a song that their parents had grown up with. At the same time, Arnel's story was also in the news. For some reason his voice sounded so much like Perry's. The energy he brought to the band gave Journey a whole new wave of speed. Journey reached a whole new generation when it came back through Glee and its famous scene at the end of The Sopranos. The kids were singing along even though they had never heard the name before. As bassist Ross Valerie put it, Journey's music lived on because people kept passing it down through their families. But these events in pop culture did more than that. Now kids who didn't grow up with the band were singing along with every word like they knew them for years. One thing is clear, that kind of reach, that band, that voice and that classic song aren't going anywhere. The night everything broke down, what a rough night on stage at Rock in Rio for Arnel Pineda. He went on Instagram and told it all. He wasn't vague about anything. He was worn out and stressed out, and he really wasn't sure if he should keep going with Journey. It wasn't just a bad show. Everything was building up, the stress, the never-ending work, and the weight of trying to meet impossible standards. Pineda and the rest of Journey had been on a trip for months, going from city to city and night to night. People who are strong will get tired with that plan. It caught up with Arnel quickly. He agreed that the constant traveling, shows right after each other, and lack of rest had worn him down a lot. His body was breaking down. His voice, which used to be very strong, was getting tired, and Rock in Rio was the turning point. He had to deal with technical issues, vocal fatigue and mental stress that most people never see behind the scenes. In the end he talked about how badly that night hurt him mentally and physically. He talked about what it means to be the lead singer for Journey. Every note has his whole heart and soul in it.
but he's still the one who criticizes him the most. Even after singing the same song 100 times, every little mistake hurts. Fans always said that he looked like Steve Perry, so he felt like no matter how hard he tried, someone would always find something wrong with him. But he didn't run away from the hate either. In a video from that Rio show, he had trouble hitting notes during Don't Stop Believin' because his earbuds were broken. Then he wrote a long post on Facebook, in which he thanked friends for their support, and talked about how sad he was. He felt torn apart because he knew he had done wrong. His one bad night could make everything else he did right look bad, he thought. It had to happen at Rock in Rio of all places. But what stood out most was how weak he became. He told his fans that he would leave Journey if they really wanted him to. He told them to send an easy vote, stay or go. He would leave for good if 1 million people told him to. He wasn't making a scene. He was worn out, hurt, and sick of fighting to prove he belonged. Still, the comments came in thick and fast, this time with lots of love. He had a lot of fans who told him not to let the bad reviews get to him. A lot of artists have bad nights, but real fans remember the hard work that went into making the music. They told him to stay and keep going because what he brings to the stage is still important. What people who went that night didn't know, it wasn't shy for the guys in Journey to support their lead singer, Arnel Pineda. When drummer Dean Castronovo responded to the negative comments on Instagram, he made it clear that he was standing by Arnel. He said that Arnel has put everything he has into his shows for years, even when he was tired, under a lot of stress, or going through the ups and downs that come with the job. Dean told his fans that a voice is not a machine, it's an instrument that is alive and well. It does well some nights, and not so well others, and that's not someone else's fault. He said nice things about Arnel's heart, perseverance and humility. He then called out the haters by name and told them to shut up. It's not just that Arnel is in his band, he's like family to him. People didn't know what was going on behind the scenes. Dean told Ultimate Classic Rock in a previous interview that Arnel had been having trouble with his voice for more than 10 years. It was hidden from everyone. But things changed for the better after he met a vocal coach, and they made an easy change. They turned down the stage volume. Dean was shocked. Arnel had been going without saying a word for 14 years. He hadn't even asked for help or a different sound setting. Everything changed when a new sound guy named Tom showed up. Dean said Arnel didn't sound like the same person. After 15 shows, every night his singing was strong and steady. Keyboardist for the band for a long time, Jonathan Cain, also showed his support. He thanked Arnel for 16 years with the band, and told him he wasn't leaving in an online post. It was a public statement that meant a lot, especially since Arnel was getting a lot of bad press at the time. Then Journey's first guitarist, Neil Schon, stepped in to fix the bigger problem, which was the sound at the Rock in Rio show. Neil said that the main act that night, Avenged Sevenfold, was to blame for what went wrong. He said that they were in charge of the sound at the event, and cut Journey's sound so much that no one in the crowd could even hear them clearly. Neil showed a video clip to show that the crowd was still having a good time and called out what he thought was fake anger. He told Arnel not to pay attention to any of the blogs that said bad things about him. He called them bought and paid for. Things got worse after that. Fans asked Neil if Journey's own sound guy could have done something. Neil said no, and said that sound devices can be locked and protected with a password. Neil said it was because of politics. When someone asked why Avenged Sevenfold wasn't given the main stage spot instead of Journey, Avenged Sevenfold hasn't said anything about any of the claims. Some fans said that Evanescence played between the two bands, and didn't seem to have the same sound problems, which made people wonder even more. In the end, Arnel spoke up. He told Journey fans he was sorry for any trouble he may have caused in an Instagram video. He agreed that the band wasn't great, and that things were a mess, but he told everyone that the world is hard right now, and that everyone has problems. They said he didn't speak up right away because he wanted to gather his ideas. His main point was that even when things are going badly, there is still good in the world. He thanked his friends, and said it was very moving to have their support. No one was trying to make him feel bad or praise him. He was just trying to connect with people who might be going through the same things. The mean things people have said about him online were also brought up. He said that the racist, hateful and personal attacks have been happening since February 2007. Still, there are good people ready to pick him up every time he falls. Someone who is kind, sends him good vibes, and lets him know he's not alone. He said that kind of help is what keeps him going. That the event made him remember that the world still has a lot of good things in it. He had a message for the people who keep criticizing him. When you use someone's flaws against them, you will always get what you deserve. Everything is seen by the world. He also had some advice for people who still think they should follow their dreams. When you get your shot, don't mess around. Do it with love, do it with all your heart, and make sure the people around you can help you when you can't. Arnel's love for Journey has never changed, not even with all the pressure, anger and constant attention. Even after 17 years, he's still amazed that he gets to sing for the band. He's famous all over the world because of the attention, but some of the worst places on the internet are after him because of it. He's still here though. He's not leaving yet. Why everyone thought he was locked up. Fans were shocked when a crazy story spread quickly online about Arnel Pineda, the lead singer of Journey. He was said to have been sentenced to life in jail in San Francisco in a YouTube video, which was a very serious and dramatic claim that caught people off guard. Even worse, the movie used the Fox News logo without permission, which led people who didn't know better to think it was real. The time made things even more confusing. It came out just a few days after Journey finished a very exciting show in Las Vegas. The video got almost 700,000 views in just 2 days, spreading the false story that Pineda had been found guilty of abuse and sent to jail. But let me tell you the truth. That kind of story has never been on Fox News. Not a single other trustworthy news source did either. It was all made up. Fans began to send a lot of questions and worries to Pineda's Instagram. There were people who were sad, people who were confused, and people who just wanted to know what was going on. That's when Pineda stepped in. He didn't pay too much attention to the story, but he made it clear that it was all false. Through his own subtle way, he told his fans that he was fine, not in jail, and not being charged with anything. Also, people who knew him well didn't keep quiet about it. Jenny Mooner, who has known him for a long time, stepped in on Facebook to stop everything. She told everyone that Arnel was in Manila, where he was safe and sound, spending time with his kids and getting ready for another tour. She wasn't nice about it. She told them that sharing fake news would not be tolerated and could lead to legal trouble. The same thing was said by his manager, Yul Session, who said the film was damaging and full of lies. He said that Journey's management was behind Arnel and that they were already working to get the video taken down from YouTube. Fans didn't believe it. They called the video fake and complained about how quickly false information spreads online. A lot of people defended him in the comments. From Queens, a friend said it broke her heart to see people go to such lengths just for clicks. But it wasn't just fans who spoke out. Filipino-American artists and leaders in the community also started to speak out. They talked about how dangerous it is to make it hard to tell the difference between real news and fake news. Some people even said it seemed like a planned effort to hurt his reputation. From the moment Vic Perez saw it, he knew it was a fake. He works on Arnel's shows in the US. Others told people to be more careful and to check the facts before believing anything they read online from sites they don't trust. Today, when anyone can make a movie look like real news, false information can spread very quickly and hurt people. What happened to Arnel is just one example of this. People who make videos online like John Baggio now tell their viewers that something is probably fake if it doesn't show up on a reliable site or in a simple search. Meanwhile, Journey kept going even though there was a lot of noise. A court battle between keyboardist Jonathan Cain and founder Neil Schoen caused them to have to cancel a few shows in the UK and Ireland last year. But they kept going with the rest of their 50th anniversary Freedom Tour. On March 16th, in Las Vegas, they ended it all. As always, the show was a hit, with fans praising the band's epic sound and acts. The next stop is Canada, where they will play a show in North York on July 19th, proof that fake news and drama behind the scenes can't slow them down. Thanks for seeing it. Please like, subscribe, share and turn on post notifications if you liked it so you can see our newest posts.